Wrestling Podcast. I'm not like most men. Shut up! My bunch. Yes, sir. Distraction. Too many distractions. No! Disqualifications! Anything goes!
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
Yes!
This is the best pro wrestling podcast. Jinder Mahal is not a cruiserweight, but I am Tommy Stryker. I'm the host of the show. Joining me, as always, is Joe and Taco.
What up?
And I think I need to, right off the bat, explain.
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
I can say that was probably one of the best intros. Like, just with the I'm not like most men. Like, fucking you read my mind. ESPN, my friend.
That was pretty good stuff, huh? Yeah.
I'm not like most men.
I mean, they should be a couple, right?
Yeah,
put the two of them together.
Power couple.
When he said that, I was like, really? Did he just say I'm not like most men? So I had to get that one. But yes, Joe, this is from...
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
My plan, we were creeping up on episode 100, right? And I have this idea of putting out some best of shows, which I haven't even started editing yet. So please, listeners, don't get your hopes up, because it's a really the way I want to do it is going to be cool, but it's going to take a lot of work, and I don't think I'm going to have it ready by episode 100. So, but nevertheless, I was listening to a podcast of ours from 1 year ago. So exactly 1 year ago, Jinder Mahal was Joe was confused. He wasn't, because he was just a loser. He had just come back to WWE, and who is this guy? Who is this Jinder guy?
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
Obviously, with what we all know now, and with the big push of Jinder Mahal, obviously he is not. But when you said that on the podcast a year ago, I'm like, that's too good.
Can't pass up a chance like that.
No, and I'm sorry, and I'm not making fun of you.
No,
that was just
I am. That's a ridiculous statement, Joe.
And the fact that you were able to go back so far and find it.
Well, that's the thing too. Is as I'm going to start putting together these best ofs, I imagine I'm going to find gems like this.
Oh, yeah.
So stay tuned for more ridiculous quotes.
I will have
podcasts past.
I call that I have 50 to 75% of those.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, there's plenty. I'm trying to remember what the discussion was exactly, because I think Jinder, I mean, it was right after the brand split, and I think Jinder beat somebody who just went to SmackDown or something like that, or vice versa, and or Jinder just lost to somebody. I think that's what it was. I think Jinder lost to like fucking Jack Swagger, who went to SmackDown, and then like 2 weeks later he was cut or something like that. Something like that. I don't remember exactly, but then we were discussing, what do you do with Jinder now? And Joe's like, well, is he a cruiserweight? Can he be on 205? Is that a thing? You know?
Definitely didn't do any protein pokes in between that time.
And that was even before 205. That would have been, we were talking Cruiserweight Classic at the time a year ago. So that's insane.
You did really well in that.
We do have a ton to talk about this week. We're going to do another quote super show, just like we did last week. So featuring not only Raw, SmackDown, Lucha Underground, NXT.
It's like that awkward phase when Raw was doing the Raw SmackDown super shows.
Well, that's the thing. As I haven't decided quite yet whether or not to just keep talking about everything on this show, or do a separate show. In other words, keep Strong Honor its own show, and maybe start its own website, its own feed for it, because that's an interesting niche too. That niche. Anyway, it's a niche of a niche or whatever. But I think that there's not a ton of podcasts that just focus on New Japan and Ring of Honor. So that's an interesting way to go about it. And I think if I was going to keep doing that show, which I do want to do because I enjoy doing Strong Honor, but if I keep going with that show, I think it should have its own separate feed, so that it's easy. People will be able to find it a little bit easier. Whereas this is kind of a catch-all show where we talk about everything, because we talk about the best in the world. That's why it's the best pro wrestling.
Yeah, we're like
podcast.
The Black China of podcasts. Just take everything in.
So yeah,
hashtag the best.
So. But yeah, like I said, I like talking about all that stuff. We're going to keep talking about it here. And I do want to note that next week, we were just talking about this before we went on air. Next week's podcast schedule is going to be very strange. I've got family coming into town, so we won't be able to record on Tuesday nights.
We should just do the podcast with them on air.
I don't think they would be into it that much, to be honest with you. But, and actually, the podcast studio did used to be the guest room in the house. We've since moved it. But nevertheless, next week, we will not be recording on Tuesday or Wednesday. Most of you are probably used to the show being available on Wednesdays or sometime throughout the weekend. We actually had a bunch of people download on Sunday this week, so thanks for all the downloads, people. But anyway, next week, the schedule is going to be kind of out the window. I'm thinking I might do something myself over the weekend, maybe like a mini strong honor, just talking some G1. I'm definitely, what the tentative plan is for us to record next Thursday. So look for a show either way next Friday. If it ends up being like I end up working too late on Thursday and we can't record Thursday night, the three of us, I will still do a show by myself. So there will be something available on Friday next week. Either way.
And then I'll just live tweet listening to the podcast.
There you go. But we are aiming to record Thursday to have it available for you listeners on Friday next week. As long as I'm just talking to the listeners right off the bat here, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating if you love the show. Tell your friends about the show. Get on the Twitter at BPW Podcast. Everybody's got Facebook, right? Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. All right, we'll talk more about that crap at the end of the show.
Yep.
I think we got to get into, let's just get right into it. After all that scheduling talk and whatnot, let's get into the Monday Night Raw, shall we?
Monday Night Raw!
Things are really starting to heat up for SummerSlam, especially on SmackDown. Yeah. SmackDown this week was really good, and obviously we'll get to SmackDown, but things, like I said, heating up for SummerSlam. We had that big 3-way main event between Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. I liked the promos that the guys did, the kind of the backstage style promos. Number one, it protected Roman Reigns from the barrage of boos that Pittsburgh would rain down on him. But, yeah, I liked his. Samoa Joe's was really good. Braun Strowman gave us, that gem that we were just talking about earlier.
I'm not like most men.
But let's talk about the Roman Reigns, that promo. To me, he came, and this is just me, this is just my opinion. To me, he came off as a little bit delusional, right?
Yeah.
He talks about, of course, how it's his yard now because he took out The Undertaker. And to me, that's like, well, The Undertaker was an old fucking guy. Commentators
kept shoving it down our throat, too, that he retired The Undertaker.
Yeah, so there's that. And then there's the delusionalness of, what was the other one? He says that he's the only one that can beat Lesnar because he has this thing in his mind that if Rollins never interfered at that WrestleMania so many years ago, he would have beaten Lesnar. So to me, that comes off as delusional too because you don't know if you had Lesnar beat or not. So to me, it's just it's kind of satisfying saying, okay, so Roman's a heel. So, so even though he's probably not, and they're not thinking of it in that way, but for me, it was just like, okay, I get this.
I'm glad he has that cockiness to him.
Yeah,
now.
It's what's made this whole thing with Roman work is the fact that he's walking around just going, "This is my fucking yard," and he doesn't stop that.
I liked the Samoa Joe promo. He's not scared of anyone. He says someone's going to sleep in this match. The match itself, well, here's the thing. It was so strange the way Raw was set up, too. They put this
structured weird.
This huge main event, like in the middle of the show. It made that third hour feel so pointless and worthless. Yep. It was just very odd. But
I couldn't think for the life of me what was going to happen for the rest of the night. I was like, I know there was more, but what the fuck?
Right. So what did you think of the finish? Reigns finally getting a victory with the spear over Samoa Joe.
It's awesome. I mean, I just like, I can walk, you know what? Fuck you. You know what? I say one good thing about the guy. I don't know. I just have, I'm not totally sold on Roman Reigns, but the fact that, they keep playing us with the heel part, I like this win for him going into SummerSlam. It builds him up, and I think it's going to focus on Lesnar and Reigns in the match myself.
Yeah, to me it was interesting. I still liked the story of Joe having Roman Reigns' number, so I wasn't a huge fan of the victory. But then again, I'm no Roman fan either. So, but I don't know. The match itself I thought was kind of cool. They did the thing where the two Samoan Joes team up on Strowman to get him out of the picture early on. But then I loved towards the finish all the back and forth, everybody being involved. That was a really nice touch. What did you think, Taco?
Yeah, it was a good match. I was very happy with it. And it was, it showed good promise coming to the SummerSlam match too, because we already know Lesnar can hang. And I don't know. I think the wild card in this, to be honest, is Strowman. We know that Reigns can handle a big scene. Samoa Joe, he's a vet technically, so this is gonna be the biggest stage of his fucking career so far.
Samoa Joe.
And Lesnar, he's the dude is a spectacle, so we know he can handle anything. But yeah, it was promising to see these three guys go at it and the way it turned out. And honestly,
it felt like a big time main event,
right? Yeah, that's why it felt so shocking. I completely forgot that they announced Cass and Big Show for the later in the show.
Yeah,
and
that was just so weird.
God,
how was that a main event? It was. It was decent. It just felt like they had to squeeze that in the middle of the show for some reason, or
but I'm
trying
cool
to keep the ratings up there, getting into that third hour.
With the Roman pin, it was good for that situation. It was triple threat. Everyone's at each other's throat. So if it was a one-on-one, it'd be a whole different story right now.
How about that Heyman and Lesnar appearance? I was not expecting to see
big
Lesnar.
Surprise.
So that was a big surprise, yeah. But I liked Heyman complaining to Angle that it's that it's a four-way, and he accuses Angle of wanting the title off of Lesnar for some reason, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. If Angle is a businessman, to me Brock Lesnar equals business. Why would Angle want the title off of Clinton Dix?
Clinton Dix.
Off of Lesnar. Heyman says that if Lesnar loses the title, he leaves WWE, but he says he will not lose. What did you make of the threat to leave WWE?
I think it's funny. That happens 2 days after fucking John Jones shit's been happening. So good timing. Playing on that part a little bit, because you got to use that for that's just more media for you guys now, because people are gonna catch wind of that. So
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it fucking adds another dynamic to it too. Because Brock Lesnar got dicked over on this. Fucking why does he have to face these four fucking guys? He does have to deal with fucking Strowman, Samoa Joe. He already fucking beat. Ooh, I gotta fucking show Roman Reigns up again. So it's like he got fucking screwed in this fucking situation. So yeah, I can see why they're butthurt.
So we got an interesting tag situation on. We've got three tag teams kind of going after each other right now that are not in the championship picture. The Hardys, Anderson and Gallows, and of course the Revival. The Hardys faced Anderson and Gallows this week on Raw because of the distraction loss that Anderson and Gallows suffered to the Revival last week, and this time it was Anderson and Gallows suffering another loss to the Hardys from the Hardys. With
the Revival on commentary, while they didn't add a lot, everything was, oh yeah, we wouldn't fall for that. Yeah, we'd probably do that. Oh yeah, we just do the Shatter Machine and this be over already. That's all they were doing the entire match.
That's awesome. So what do you make of these three teams going back and forth? Is this leading to a three-way at SummerSlam for possibly a number one contendership? That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, and I love it. And I'm glad that Gallows and Anderson are included, because it felt like they were just getting shunned pretty much left and right and left out of these big situations when they can easily hang with these guys. So that's an exciting match for me.
Yeah, this is putting these three guys together is going to put on a good show, and it's going to be a fucking banger to start off SummerSlam. Second match on the card. Fucking, that's going to suck everyone right in, so let's do it up.
SummerSlam's really shaping up this week.
Yeah, man.
It's looking
the
like
is pretty good.
Looking like a pretty good show so far. Let's talk kind of the other almost tag team situation, but the Ambrose-Rollins stuff from Raw. I really like that Ambrose just does not trust Rollins yet. Rollins is the architect.
You know what gets me in this? The whole segment in the back, fucking, you got Ambrose in. They're like, "Oh, you burnt me once already," as fucking Seth Rollins' shirt just says, "Burn it down." It's like, come on.
He's the architect. He builds the building, then he burns it down. Exactly. That I never even thought of that angle.
It's getting borderline gay porn for me. Like, you see those guys shirtless in the fucking background, all moping over each other. Like, you burnt my heart once before, Seth.
Well,
I'm not gonna fall for it anymore. Come on, you're fucking Dean Ambrose. You don't give two fucking shits. Like, you're a fucking lunatic fringe, and now you're like, I can't trust you. It's like, what, you been hanging out with fucking Baron Corbin, for Christ's sake? I was into this at first, but now it's just kind of getting like, I'm waiting for one of them to start like, "Hey, bro, you need me to put some like oil on you before your match?" Like, it's getting too fucking creepy for me.
You know, it was it started with the Renee Young interview, and Renee was like so giddy. "Are you guys getting back together?" It was like, that's literally what she said. It was like it's like, are they going out again? Like, what do you mean?
"Hey, brother, I'll lift you up like a shield."
It's
like I'm gonna get a fucking like show out of this, like Total Shield. Like,
well, I'm not. I see what you're saying, Taco. I'm not completely sour on it yet. Although fucking after everything that happened, so Rollins had the confrontation with the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, and had the match with Sheamus, won the match, but then there was the beatdown after the extended beatdown. Then Ambrose comes out and saves him, and I love Ambrose's excuse later on, fucking mopey Seth Rollins again at the end. But I love Ambrose. He's like, "Yeah, you're the architect. I had you put me in a corner. I had to come save you. Otherwise, I would have looked bad." So I love that. Even though Rollins, kayfabe wise, probably wasn't thinking, "Oh, I'm going to pick a fight with these guys so that he has to come, bail me out." I love that Ambrose puts that together. "Oh, you fucker!" Ambrose is like, "You did that on purpose," even though in storyline sense, it was just like, "Nah, the guys were just beating the shit out of me. I was just defending myself. They were making fun of me in the hallway, and now you're making shit up on me, and I'm mopey.
I want my lunch money."
Sad eyes. Seth Rollins is no good though, so we need to. Rollins needs to do something else, but I like the Ambrose part of the angle.
It's fun, but like, I don't know, man. Like I said, like, we're gonna have like a Brokeback Shield soon.
All right, moving on.
I'm just gonna point out that this just feels like they have nothing for those two at all.
Well, here's what I was going to get to, too, since I talked about the number one contendership between those other three teams or whatever, possibly those three meeting at SummerSlam. What if this ends up being Rollins and Ambrose going for the tag titles as a team against the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it would be a smart move, even if they're not planning on keeping them together that long. Even, say they lose the SummerSlam match, it's just, the Bar and then Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins are going to put on a good match. So at worst, you get a great match out of the deal.
And I think it's also just a good story for these two right now, with the main event so clogged, and with I don't know if Miz is going to be doing something with Jason Jordan now. We'll get to that. But I like the idea of both Rollins and Ambrose getting away from that IC picture,
right,
unless one of them is going to win it and have a long, credible run with it. But I just don't. That just doesn't feel right now.
I just feel like you have to put the championships on them, though, at SummerSlam if they're going to team up like that. You can't just one and done them like that.
Well, I have another theory on that is if these guys do team up, I think Dean Ambrose could use a bit of a new coat of paint. What if this ends up being these two teaming up for the one match, and finally something happens in the match, Ambrose misunderstands Rollins again, and Ambrose turns on Rollins this time, and now Ambrose is the big heel. I think Ambrose needs something new, and I think a big heel turn might be a good way to go for Ambrose.
It's a good option.
Let's talk that Miz TV. Jason Jordan comes out. He's got the new music. Kind of sounds like 2017 of a shitty DX version or something. I don't know. It was fine. I'm being a bit negative. I don't want to end up on Bring It to the Table.
Are there too many wrestling podcasts?
Yes, there are too many wrestling podcasts. But this one,
way too many.
There's way too many. But that's why we try to keep it positive on here. Not because we don't want to get talked shit about on Bring It to the Table, but because there's just no reason to be so negative. Anyway.
As I was just fucking shitting on that whole segment. Just
Miz TV, Jason
I don't
Jordan.
mean it.
I liked Jason Jordan throwing the Miz into the Miz Taraj. I like Miz trying to introduce this idea that some people are booing Jason Jordan. He's like, some people are booing you, and I like paused. I'm like, nobody's booing Jason Jordan. Who booed Jason Jordan? I've never heard a single boo for Jason Jordan. But it was the ruse. It was like, some people don't like you if you let me guide your career, da-da-da-da-da. So I enjoyed that segment. Any thoughts on that?
Needs a little work on the mic, but like you said, just him, as long as he's chucking people around, I'm entertained.
In all fairness, he wasn't always the best one on the mic. He struggled until Chad Cable came along,
and
too.
I didn't even mind him in this segment. He came off as real. He came off as genuine. He was just like, "Nah, I'm good. That's cool. I don't, it's fine. I don't want to be associated with someone like you."
Well, that's who he is too. Just kind of reading some stuff on the guy too. Just he's always kind of quiet. He's always the nice guy. So play up on that because he just fucking looks like the nice guy. So hell yeah.
We had the big Bray Wyatt promo where he comes out and says a bunch of stuff but doesn't actually say anything. Finn Balor appears and takes out Wyatt. I thought, thank goodness for Finn Balor taking out Bray Wyatt and looking strong there after the Sister Abigail last week losing to the Drifter, of all people, who's just going by Elias now for some reason.
It's so awkward now, like... I like the ladies and gentlemen, Elias Sampson. It's like, it's soothing. It's like, that fucker is back playing his guitar again. But Elias, that was weird, but I don't know. I'm on board with the Drifter. I walk with the Drifter.
The Drifter Elias did beat Kalisto with the Drift Away neck breaker. I do like the gimmick where Michael Cole always has some bullshit story. Like, he got this scarf from da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Corey Graves was like, no, that's bullshit. I was eating breakfast and I saw him buy it from a 5 and dime or whatever. So every week Cole just has some new nugget that's just complete bullshit about, and then like Graves gets upset and calls him out on it. And so I kind of like that gimmick.
Scares the living fuck out of me every time I hear it because I hear it so infrequently. Kalisto's new music. It's so fucking just like out of the fucking blue. It's like, what the hell's... Oh, yeah, his thing is now...
He has his own thing now,
It's startling.
Yeah, I kind of miss... I don't know. I don't know if I miss the Lucha Dragons theme. And
I like the new one. It's just, I don't hear it often enough. And it's just so like...
It's kind of like when Tamina came back. It was like... Like, ooh, what's this weird new music for Tamina? It turns out it was created 6 years ago. So we never hear Tamina's music. So
maybe she'll get new rap do-overs.
Maybe. Bayley versus Nia in that black hole of the third hour from Raw. Bayley won via countout. She sold that. She took that awful face plant where she landed right on her shoulder. I have not seen or looked at any news today, so I don't know. But that thing looked pretty bad. It didn't look like your normal just sell job. So hopefully everything is okay with Bayley.
Haven't seen anything on the dirt sheets.
Okay. I liked Bliss's promo. Taco's looking at Tozawa on 205.
He was just screaming some kid's face.
I don't even have my I don't even have my monitor. I'm just like suddenly I know what the listener experience is like because the listeners obviously aren't watching 205 live.
Well, why the fuck not?
But
if you want to watch it with us, you have a good sync up point.
I'm just sitting here now I know exactly how the listeners feel when all of a sudden Tozawa comes on the screen.
That segment's going to end.
All of a ssudden Taco started screaming and I looked at him like, what the fuck is going on? And like, oh yeah, the Tozawa gimmick. I didn't even realize you had the thing on.
Yeah.
Because my monitor, I'm going to turn it on here. At least see if it...
We're not... Oh, you just did something to the speakers.
Oh, I just turned my microphone way up. That's why. There we go.
Whoa. Simma done now.
Much better.
Ego much?
Anyway.
Bad structure we got going on
I'm just
going
to be way louder than everybody on the podcast. By the way, when I was listening to some older podcasts, when I was talking about that, there are somewhere like Taco is really quiet and I'm obnoxiously loud. It wasn't on purpose, by the way. It's a process.
We're learning.
So...
Anyway. We're learning the structure, okay?
Yeah. We are a constantly evolving and improving podcast. The big main event with the big guys, Big Cass, Big Show, a big promo from Enzo again. Boy, these Enzo promos, I don't want to say they're getting old, but boy, they're long.
They're like kind of depressing. It's like watching like a guy withdraw from some alcohol or something, like just mumbling on at this point. It's like, oh, bro, like I was on Team Enzo 2 weeks ago. Now it's just kind of sad.
Yeah, he just keeps going on and on and on about Cass, but he obviously he couldn't back it up his own fight against Cass. So yeah, you're right. He needs something. He needs to either become Big Show's manager or just start having some sort of credible feud with somebody else. Because
I'll say what you didn't want to say. It's getting fucking old.
I know you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, but on the table or whatever the fucking
bring it to the
table was, they brought up Enzo, and it's something that's been said before, and I don't know, there's like a little bit of like honesty on there that I really appreciated, and like Corey Graves was like, he's not someone that we should get rid of, like he needs to be in the WWE. It's just like he fucking said it on there. He's just Enzo you see on TV is the Enzo you're stuck with when you're on a 12-hour tour in Europe. Like, and they're like, do you like Enzo? And he kind of like stalled a little bit. He's like, no, I don't. But it's a well-known fact. He's Enzo.
Yeah.
and he's just like, the dude's just kind of money and the crowd's into him. He's like, it'd be dumb, and he's a good guy and everything. And 205 should be the place for him. And, it was kind of odd because they're like, wouldn't that be a demotion for him? And they're fucking JBL of all people. It's like, demotion, look what I fucking did to Neville. Everything was a promotion. He's one of the best deals we got in the company now.
I agree with you to an extent. Because he's a great talker, but once he gets in the ring, especially with those guys that are really fucking good, I just don't think he's going to be able to hang on that level.
It's true, but
could be a process.
It's still he's still an attention towards it, though. I mean, we're not going to make it a fucking indie 205. It's not. It's WWE. We still have the fucking WWE problems that we see day in and day out. It kind of change up in there a little bit. It's going to add some, freshness to it. It really, I believe, is. And, it's just, he's a small guy. Do we want to see him every fucking week getting his ass whooped? It's kind of old.
Yeah, I think ultimately his role, I think, will be being a mouthpiece for somebody. Mm-hmm. He can even turn heel and rejoin Cass and just be fucking Cass's mouthpiece.
Right. Yeah, I would honestly love him to just be a side piece. I love managers when you got a good fucking guy on your side like Paul Ellering right now.
Yes,
he's fucking killing with Authors of Pain. What do they say on a weekly basis? Jack shit.
Right.
He does it all, and that's all it needs to be, really. Fucking, look at Paul Bearer back in the day with Undertaker. Look at Undertaker's career. He doesn't say much. He just does it all in the yard.
Right. So the match, Cass versus Big Show. Cass got the DQ win after Enzo attacks Big Cass after Big Cass finally knocks the Big Show down with a big boot. But
tucking a boot.
This was kind of a fun big man match. I like fucking Big Show chopped the shit out of him so hard that his chest was bleeding. So that was kind of nice. I liked Big Show's little promo in the back beforehand, talking about I'm going to go out there and teach him some respect because I can teach that or whatever. So that was a nice thing. So was it worthy of being the main event? Absolutely not. But if you swap the Big Cass and Big Show thing with the three-way thing that they had, I think it would have been a much better show. But
they're taking chances, though, so fuck it.
All right, let's talk some SmackDown, shall we?
Change the subject. SmackDown Live.
Players, I'm going to make this a tag team match.
Before we get to SmackDown, I got to bring up the fact that Renee Young's Unfiltered show got canceled on WWE Network, along with Talking Smack that used to play right after 205 Live. 205 Live just got over, and it's a replay of Unfiltered with Renee Young. So, let's talk about like last week. Daniel Bryan did the
Smacking Talk.
Smacking Talk
on Tout.
It's supposed to be on Tout. I think it was a joke. I downloaded Tout. I couldn't fucking figure out Tout.
Oh, they touted. did.
I couldn't upload a video. I couldn't find how to add friends or add people or add anything. It was just a blank tout. I got rid of it. It was a waste of space.
Because you were the only subscriber, Tommy.
And I ended up watching, what was it, Smacking Talk?
Smacking Talk.
I think I watched a bit of it on Twitter. I don't think I don't know if I saw the whole thing, but it was a bit underwhelming compared to the normal talking smack.
It's Daniel Bryan poking the bear.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
It's
exactly. But SmackDown this week, they promised big things, and I think they gave us some big things.
They delivered.
It was a good show. We were very skeptical last week. Are they going to honey dick us like they have in the past? I keep stealing your line, Tom.
No, I stole it too.
Well, so it was AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens in the opening match. They started off hot with that match. Very good match for the U.S. title. Again, they went with the clunky finish, but they did it on purpose this time. It was so weird. So I did hear about what happened at, I was going to say SummerSlam. It was great. Was it Great Balls of Fire? Battleground. Apparently, Vince changed the finish of the match in the middle of the match. And so it was communicated to the referee, who then communicated it to the wrestlers, and that's why it was such a weird, clunky thing. They did the ref bump. Kevin Owens got AJ in a submission, then AJ got Kevin in the submission, but then Kevin just leaned back, and they counted 3. And I don't know if AJ was supposed to get his shoulder up, but he didn't, and they didn't know what they were doing. So it was a fucked up, weird finish anyway that got changed in the middle of the match. So they tried to kind of parody that here in this match. So they go out there, they have a really good match. Now, I talked about when I watched Battleground, I didn't have time to actually get through the entire match itself. And Joe, you talked about the quality of the Battleground match.
They clearly didn't have time to write Battleground right either.
But you talked about how the Battleground match seemed a bit clunky or just kind of there.
Just in general, you could tell there was something just not off. You've got Kevin Owens, you've got AJ Styles. It should not look half as bad as it did.
With what you're saying, it sounds like two really good employees frustrated that it was just a clusterfuck of an idea.
So, but the match they had on SmackDown today was a much better match.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Owens headbutting out of the calf crusher. Kevin Owens hitting the ref by mistake. Then, so the finish was a bit awkward. He hits the ref on one side of his face, but the referee sells the other side of his face. AJ rolls up Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' shoulder is way up in the air, and but the ref can't tell because he's selling the one eye. Counts the 3, and Kevin Owens goes crazy in the back, gets in Shane McMahon's face, shoves the referee. This should be a suspension, at least a big fine. You're not supposed to put your hands on the officials.
He even screamed it at him.
Yeah, exactly. But it ended up in the result of Shane being inserted into the match as the special referee at SummerSlam for the U.S. title between the rematch, the rematch between AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. It feels like they've been building this tension for a couple of weeks now that this is going to build up to a Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon match.
No. And no.
That's been rumblings.
So
I don't even want to hear it. No.
Now, why don't you want to see?
You saw Shane McMahon, AJ Styles. I get it. It was fine. It was just fine.
I wasn't mad at it. The right guy won.
I get that, but it doesn't mean that it makes it a good match.
If there's talks of demoting talent back to NXT and letting talent go, why are we having Shane McMahon? Even though he does work in the ring. I don't want to take anything away from him, but we should be looking at the next Jinder Mahal. Who's next in line? We got to move some of these guys.
Weird question: is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
Oh, that's a good one.
I liked the Usos promo on the New Day. They just came out and they made fun of the New Day. They did the Cleveland thing and did the whole thing. What do you expect? Clowns on bikes? Grown men talking about each other's popsicles? I like the line of it was like, bing, bang, pow. That's comic books. It's poppy. That was good. Fashion peaks. As it was starting, I'm like, ooh, are we going to get Hornswoggle talking backwards? I was close. We got Fandango and the Ascension talking awkwardly, fucking one of the Ascension pouring syrup on a log. The other Ascension hands Fandango a rose. He pricks his finger on the thorn of the rose, and fucking Breeze just freaks out. He's like, "Stop with the metaphors! No more metaphors! No more metaphors!" And he wakes up somewhere else. And he's like, he says he knows. So Breeze had a premonition, and he knows. So tune in next week. I really like what they've been doing with these guys. So
it's just fun, and again, it's getting them on TV. And what I feel is that it's just keeping your eyes off of the fact that there really isn't a lot of tag team depth on SmackDown.
That's a true story. Sami Zayn got beat by Aiden English rather quickly with a roll-up leverage pin. Maria and Mike come out and love that Sami Zayn lost. I don't know. Moving right along. The women's tag match was fine. Naomi submits Carmella in the thing. Carmella,
right?
I like the spot where Carmella slaps Naomi. And they do the thing back and forth, and Naomi does the sliding slap.
Yes, keep that. Get rid of those fucking kicks.
Yes, exactly. So that was good.
She looked good though out there, man. It was the best time. Like, I like the entrance, but I don't like the dance moves in the entrance. And like, I don't know, this one stuck out to me. It was toned down a little bit.
Sure, yeah. You don't want to go crazy every time. And again, I like that she's getting rid of the weaker parts of her offense. Those fast back and forth kicks or whatever.
Liu Kang kicks.
You don't need those in there.
Yeah, she looked good tonight. So
yeah, and her kicks that she did do looked a lot better, looked a lot more legit, and stuff like that. There was a nice knee in there from Naomi, so it was a showcase for Naomi. She looked really good. Chad Gable versus Rusev. I've got an opinion on this thing, but I liked the match itself.
Okay, I was like, where you going with this?
No, but I really enjoyed the match. The guy in the crowd had the "Go Ethnic Bad Guy" sign.
Crowd of the week.
Gable had the
sign of the week.
Gable hit a couple of belly to bellies and then hit a big German suplex for a near fall. Hit that awesome, beautiful moonsault for a near fall.
Most American moonsault ever.
He teases doing the. I always forget what's the name of the suplex where the guy's just hanging there and you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's a gut wrench suplex.
Let's go with that.
He tries to go for that,
Clash
but
of the Titus?
Rusev is too big.
Yeah.
Exactly. God damn it. There it is.
Clash of the Titus.
But okay, so here's my opinion. Rusev did get the win with the accolade. Gable showed really good fighting spirit, got out of the accolade at one point. I really don't think Gable lost a lot here in losing to Rusev.
No.
But I kept thinking, what a great moment. What like a star-making moment would it be if Gable just beat Rusev? Rusev, I don't think would lose much in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they're just building Rusev up to be to face Randy Orton. So, and that's what this was about. But to me, that was unfortunate. And I would have been okay with Gable losing here if they didn't do the Orton angle, but maybe come back to this match again next week. Like,
I'm with you.
Like almost maybe you guys might be too young for this, but what they did with the 1-2-3 Kid way back in the early 90s when he first came into WWE, he had 3 matches with Razor Ramon. The first 2 he lost clean. It was just looked like a regular ass squash match. Then on the third one, fluke, the guy gets a win. That's how he gets the name the 1-2-3 Kid. I thought maybe do something similar to that with Gable here, even though Gable's a little more known than just a guy that comes in to do a job. Loses the first match, but very competitive. He can go to Shane or Daniel and be like, look, I think I can beat this guy. Give me one more chance. Rusev can be like, oh, fuck this guy. And they have another match, but then this time maybe he beats him. Then you can come back to it. But I really thought, and that would have been okay, but I really, really liked the idea of Gable getting the win over Rusev here. I was hoping for that. But with what they did was so huge in the main event and even the opener, the AJ Kevin Owens match, despite the wonky finish, it was still a hell of a match. Mm-hmm. And so I can see why they didn't want to tell that big of a story here. But I was just pulling for him so hard during the match. You talk about getting worked. I was just getting worked up so hard in that match. And That was just like, God, just make him a star. He would be such a star getting that win, and the crowd would just go nuts.
Right.
I thought, but I'm not like I said, I'm not sour at it. I understand it, and Gable looked great in the match, and so I don't think he loses anything. But I just thought they missed an opportunity there to really make a big star.
Yeah, but we got Randy Orton just taking down different parts of the country at this point.
Right, different parts of the world. So yeah, it will be Orton versus Rusev at SummerSlam. Because after Rusev said everyone is afraid of him, and Orton comes out and says, "You've never beaten me, and I'm not afraid of you." So, and I'm actually looking forward to that match. Finally, and excuse me, hang on here. I'm getting all choked up.
Wieners.
I wanted to talk about. It is a podcast. You guys can chime in here as well.
I was drinking too.
Anyway,
I said wieners.
I'm really looking.
Good job, Joe.
I'm really looking forward to this Orton and Rusev program here, because look at the last year of Randy Orton.
Ugh.
Let's go back. Let's go back a year.
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
You do the brand split. SummerSlam. Randy Orton gets elbowed in the head by Brock Lesnar. Come out of that, go right into the feud with Bray Wyatt.
Big structure this time.
It's Bray Wyatt all the way from after SummerSlam all the way through fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That was Randy Orton through WrestleMania. After WrestleMania, a House of Horrors match with Bray Wyatt. Come out of that, superstar shakeup, right into a program with Jinder fucking Mahal.
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
So Randy has had a bad year, and I don't blame Randy. Like last year, I remember going into the match with Brock Lesnar, going into that SummerSlam match, how into it we felt like the Orton promos were good, the passion was there, we could feel it as fans, we were all into it. They had the match, and it was just shit after that, and I don't blame them. Fucking I wouldn't care about that shitty Bray Wyatt feud that went on forever, and then this all of a sudden elevation from Jinder Mahal. Yeah, we had a couple of decent things from Randy in there, and the stuff with the Singh brothers has been off the charts, with Randy just murdering the Singh brothers at every opportunity. I've liked the matches themselves. Randy has brought it there, but he just hasn't seemed interested in any of the programs. So I am hoping that this Orton and Rusev program really fires up Randy, and we get the Randy.
I hope it fires up Rusev too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We know Rusev can get in the same rut too.
Yeah, well, I think Rusev wanted nothing to do with that stupid Rusev or Cena. I don't think either of them were very into that stupid flag match gimmick from last month. So you could just tell it was just like John Cena cutting generic, Patriot promos. Rusev being the bad guy heel, the foreign menace, and it's just like let's do something better. And I think these two can really put on a hell of a match. So that's why I think SummerSlam so far is really shaping up to be a hell of a show.
I just we were talking about the fucking 90s graffiti and just the look of it. I'm digging that.
Since we are talking a little bit about Jinder here.
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
And we were talking Bring It to the Table earlier as well.
Are there too many wrestling podcasts?
Talk about the moment that you showed us from Bring It to the Table, Taco. The structure.
Yeah, he just brought up, he's talking to JBL and Corey Graves, just saying how, are you guys restricted? Are you being fed, are you force-fed words? Are the words you can say and you can't say? And, JBL and Corey Graves just take fucking offense instantly. They're down his throat. Like, what are you talking about? We're our own men. We're free, man. We can say whatever we want, And then Corey Graves chimes in. We go, we might be encouraged to, go to a different direction.
Sports entertainer.
We could say whatever we want.
WWE Universe.
And then, was it Rosenthal? He points out, he's like, well, why did you guys say
back of the neck
structural 64 times in one match? And JBL just stops like, wait, what? And Corey Graves halts too, like a deer in headlights, like, huh? So, yeah, and then they play the clip throughout the whole Punjabi prison match, and 64 fucking times. This structural, that structure, that structural, this is a structural.
I want to say that we were up to 6 or 7 just in the time before we got there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It was cool to watch because they kind of like I said earlier with the Enzo thing a little bit too. There was they weren't afraid to open up a little bit.
All right, let's talk the John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura main event from SmackDown. They built it up. They gave it to us. It was a good match. They gave it some time, not a ton of time, but I thought it was appropriate for a good TV match. A hell of a match. Nakamura counters the "You Can't See Me" into an armbar. Early on, he counters the STF into an armbar. Cena hits an AA for a near fall after Nakamura hits a big knee. Then Nakamura counters the AA to a guillotine choke, which was a nice touch. But then it was Nakamura countering. Cena goes for 2 AAs in a row, really putting the nail in the coffin, but it was Nakamura getting the win.
That was after getting an AA in.
Right, yeah, he hit like 3 AA. He hit 2 AAs, was going for a third, and counters out of that, hits the Kinshasa, gets the win. A really fun, it was a Nakamura style match for some of it, definitely in the beginning.
I would say for most of it, John Cena was definitely working on his pace, on Nakamura's pace, not a WWE pace. It was very, slow and maniacal, and in a Shinsuke way. It's John Cena definitely let him open up and showcase the Shinsuke Nakamura to the world.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Honestly, I thought almost better than they did in NXT. Like they just kind of let him be him and just fly, do his thing with the the best in WWE.
Yeah,
and we were saying earlier that fucking John Cena is clunkier than a bag of Legos and shit. But I give him really mad props for this match because it's a big fucking match. If you really think up, it's hyped up to be, and it really is, just because fucking the history of these guys' business in the wrestling business and what's on the line, and it could have tanked so fucking hard. We cracking the fucking joke like, oh, fucking Baron Corbin was gonna attack Shinsuke right off the bat.
Right? Yeah, we were expecting the Baron Corbin attack.
Any fucking time I was expecting anything, but Jinder and the Singh brothers are up in the fucking rafters. Skybox and that fucking Sting. But mad props to John Cena for just letting Shinsuke just let loose and fucking clean fall too. And I'm kind of worried about that bump on John Cena though.
Yeah,
he fell around his head. You don't do that too often.
Took that exploder there, and he didn't quite.
He didn't take it.
He didn't get his head all the way around. Landed right on his head and neck.
If I remember correctly, I think he fucking lost shit on Kennedy for doing that to him back in the day.
Well, that was kind of where my analysis of Cena talking about being clunky like a bag of Legos came up, because he's kind of got a what's the phrase, he's got an ass full of lead or whatever. Sometimes he didn't quite rotate around enough, and Shinsuke can only do so much there.
So he whipped the fuck out of him. So
right.
Yeah, no, it was a good fucking match, and I'm just so happy it went in that direction and that it did. Told you guys about this. I saw a thing online at some point this week where they showed the graphic before the match, and it's John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Winner faces Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam, and it's written on the bottom. And somebody put a thing out online that says, "Go back to 2014 and explain this to somebody," because it's just so obnoxious when you look at Cena versus Nakamura on SmackDown. Winner fights Jinder Mahal for the title at SummerSlam. It's like, what? Like one of the stars of New Japan versus one of the biggest star in WWE facing Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam? What does that even mean?
Weird question. Is Jinder Mahal a cruiserweight?
Well, what's next for Cena then?
That's a good question. Does he go back to the Rusev thing? Probably not. Somebody mentioned he's going to be doing a Bumblebee
Transformer spin-off, so it's like, Rusev even tweeted out about it. God, what did he say? He was like, well, at least he's going to be here forever or something along those lines, just kind of dogging on Cena for dipping out all the time.
Well, don't forget that Cena is a, quote, free agent, so he could slide over to Raw and do something with one of those guys over there, since they've got a pretty crowded main event picture between Braun and Samoa Joe.
What if
and
John
Roman
Cena's
Reigns
on the pre-show?
Well, like I said, too, I mean, with the way things are shaping up for SummerSlam already, it's already going to be a big show, a huge show, and maybe John takes this one off. It doesn't have anything at this point, but I liked him kind of,
Fuck it, throw him in with Corbin.
There you go. This is the Corbin thing. But I liked after the match, Cena raising Nakamura's hand, the passing the torch moment thing there. That was cool too. Nakamura versus Jinder at SummerSlam for the title. That's going to be that's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
Very.
So, all right, let's move along. Let's get into some Lucha Underground.
Change the subject.
So the Cueto Cup is ongoing. So we had a couple of Cueto Cup matches, then a special challenge match. One of the Worldwide Underground, PJ Black challenged Rey Mysterio Jr., who is the number one contender, going to be facing Johnny Mundo here at the Cueto Cup Finals for the Lucha Underground Championship. So that match was not for the number one contendership. It was just a match for PJ Black to get an opportunity for Worldwide Underground to get an early shot at Rey Mysterio.
I'm a little mad at Lucha Underground this season. Every season before, they'd at least release like one of the matches. Even if it was a crappy match, they'd always release one full match. Haven't done that once this year on Facebook.
Like put something up on like YouTube or whatever. Yeah, interesting. I know they have the past two seasons up on Netflix, but I don't think they're doing anything on any of the current stuff.
Season 3 you can actually rent or buy it on like Amazon.
Right.
So that
I think on iTunes too.
Yeah, they didn't have that option, for season 1 or 2 at the time. So that's pretty fucking rad.
Nice.
To be honest, this season is going on for fucking ever.
Well, we got the fucking G1 going on at the same time SummerSlam is about to hit. It's just odd timing to do a cup, man.
So what we usually do for tournaments on this show is the three of us compete and the loser buys the beers, and we're doing the same thing with the G1 Climax tournament. Just to kind of go over quickly the tournament stuff here. I've got Pentagon and Puma in the finals, with Puma going all the way. Right now, currently, after this week, and I'll get into the results, obviously, of this week, but after this week's show, I have 15 points, and if you're playing along at home, opening round, 1 point, second round, 2 points, third round, 3, so on and so forth, all the way to the final. So I'm stuck at 15. Taco, I think you said you had 20.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Joe, you're right.
I know Lucha Underground better than you, Joe.
Fuck you.
Ooh,
Joe, you're right in the middle there.
16.
16 for you.
I've got
in the
Pentagon
middle.
and Puma, but I've got Pentagon taking
Okay.
it.
And you have a completely different
I had
final.
Tejano and Cage, but Cage is obviously out, so fucking let's
I
go
have
Tejano.
nothing left in Group B.
I still got Pentagon. I got Mill. I still got Puma. So
Pretty much it's going to matter on ours is literally going to matter on who wins the final, I think.
Probably. All right, well, let's get through this week's Lucha Underground here, the results from what happens. More second-round Cueto Cup matches. The final two of the second round opened with Mac versus Tejano. Tejano got the win with a sit-out powerbomb after Famous B distracted Mac with a squirt gun. Afterward, these guys show respect to each other before the match, and it was a big guy Lucha, but it was Tejano getting the win there. At the bar, Son of Madness steals Son of Havoc's whiskey. They do some kung fu hand fighting. Son of Madness says, "I'm going to make your life a living hell until you come back to the gang." Son of Havoc says, "After what happened, I'm never coming back." Then it was Mascarita Sagrada presenting the Rabbit Tribe with a gift. The card says, "I hope this brings you better luck." They open the gift, and oh my god, it's a rabbit's foot, and they all shriek because they are the Rabbit Tribe. Then it was Drago versus Pentagon Dark. Pentagon Dark got the win here with the package pile driver. Drago's out there with Cobra Moon, part of the reluctant member of the reptile tribe under Cobra Moon's spell. After the match, Pentagon super kicks Cobra Moon. Then he goes to break Drago's arm. Drago's former friend Aerostar, former friend and Trios champion, comes out and saves Drago, but Drago ends up attacking Aerostar. And then, to add insult to injury, Pentagon comes back and breaks Aerostar's arm.
You fucked up. You fucked up.
Katrina confronts Pentagon Dark in the back, says Mill hasn't forgot about the time you beat him, and we will be waiting for you in the next round. And I commented, well, that's kind of spoilery, because in order for Pentagon to make it to the next round, he has to defeat Tejano first. So that was interesting. And not only that, but Mill has to defeat Jeremiah Crane as well. Ooh. So there's that. Then finally, the main event, PJ Black versus Rey Mysterio Jr. PJ Black hits a Styles Clash for a near fall. The ref takes a bump. Mundo comes out and attacks. Jack Evans is out there in a chin sling. El Dragon Azteca comes out and takes out Johnny Mundo and PJ. Taya comes out and trips El Dragon Azteca, runs into a wall. Rey Mysterio Jr. kicks out El Dragon Azteca. I don't know what's going on here. El Dragon Azteca Jr. Oh, he chases away the rest of Worldwide Underground with a chair and leads to Rey Mysterio Jr. getting the victory with the 619 and the springboard frog splash. Booyaka. So, yes, exactly. Booyaka, and I believe that was the name of the episode. So we are 4 weeks away until the Cueto Cup final and the Rey Mysterio Jr. and Johnny Mundo match. And then I believe Ultima Lucha Trace will take place right after that, and who knows what kind of insanity that will be. I gotta be honest here, this is fun going through the tournament and everything, and checking out the show once a week, but with all of the wrestling going on, it struggles to keep my attention. Like, if we weren't doing this podcast and having this little thing, I probably wouldn't be watching a lot of Lucha Underground right now.
It's such bad timing with the G1.
Yeah, and I'm just really not that into it. Some of the wrestling's decent, but a lot of it just kind of throwing out matches. It's just kind of even though they are tournament matches, and the end of it does mean something.
I feel like this is probably the second half is a better part, or their stronger half. It's just they just took too long of a break, and that would have been the perfect time to fucking play it when that break was going on.
Yeah, it was awkward the break, and now it's so busy with all of the other wrestling now. It would have been ideal just to keep that thing going over the winter there, I think. But nevertheless. I don't know. People still don't know if Lucha Underground is coming back. I kind of feel bad for a lot of signed Lucha Underground talent, i.e. mostly Ricochet not being able to go on TV in the United States without having to go through a bunch of legal trouble. So I will be happy once all of that stuff kind of gets sorted out, and once the Lucha Underground talent finds out whether they're taping another season.
I feel like I read rumblings that they released the temple or whatever, or the location of it.
Interesting. I haven't heard that. I did hear an interview recently with Johnny Mundo.
Don't quote me on that, though.
And he was unsure about October bookings at this point, because there's rumors that that's when they might be taping the next season of Lucha Underground, but nothing
at this
official
point. Is he going to want to do that, though?
Well, that's the thing is I think for Mundo it's a pretty good deal, because he just does indies. He's fine with doing just Lucha Underground. I don't think he's really trying to go to Japan and Ring of Honor and stuff like that.
He does a bunch of stunt work for movies, too.
Right, yeah. He's a Hollywood guy, so him being able to just do stuff on the West Coast, he doesn't have to worry about the TV conflicts. He's not trying to go to Global Force or whatever. So I think he's cool with it. So, and
actually, I think he has been doing something with Global Force.
Oh yeah, him and Taya are going to be doing some house shows for Global Force,
because they're advertising John Morrison for it.
Yep, yeah, they are doing that, but they're not going to be appearing on TV. Yeah, Global Force is doing like a East Coast tour, doing some baseball stadiums. I want to say, I think later this month.
But they're building those relationships. So I mean, look at all those Lucha Underground guys that they're kind of getting on good terms with right now.
Right, I think Drago was on their last pay-per-view. So
Drago and one other one. God, I'm fucking professional.
Well, I mean, obviously we're not paying that close of attention to Global Force right now.
But,
so.
it's good. Good moves there.
All right, let's change it up. Let's talk some NXT.
Change the subject.
I'm still off. I'm so mad about that spoiler. We're not going to say shit. I'm just...
I've got no clue what you're talking about.
All right, well, that's good. I thought
Yeah.
you might have seen it, Joe. So, all right, the NXT spoiler remains a mystery to some, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks here. We'll find out.
I'm just going to say, careful going on YouTube.
All right, careful going on YouTube.
Ember Moon beat Lady Tapa. I wasn't expecting to see Lady Tapa. I was first introduced to her back when she was in TNA. But big lady, Ember Moon wins with the Eclipse after a tornado suplex, and says that she wants Asuka at TakeOver. Later in the show, Regal makes the match, Ember Moon versus Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn 3. So very excited for that match. Again, I just go back to the story that they've been telling long term with these two. You know, Ember Moon basically was ready to hit the Eclipse on. I almost had a one of those moments there.
Clash of the Titans.
She was ready to hit the Eclipse on Asuka back in their WrestleMania weekend match, but it was Asuka who shoved the referee into the ropes, causing Ember Moon to fall, and then Asuka got the win there. So the story that they're telling is that Ember Moon has Asuka's number, and it's just a matter of time before she gets her hands on her again. Here we are, SummerSlam weekend, TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
Awesome.
I really like the story that they're telling between those two.
And I love Asuka not being on TV because she's got no challengers.
David Ramos and Timothy Bumpers were supposed to take on the Authors of Pain. There was no match. Sanity comes out and destroys the Geek Squad. Then a big brawl erupts. Authors of Pain stand tall. Nikki Cross holds back Killian Dane, and she's very happy. I love Nikki Cross because she's very much like Dario Cueto. She just loves violence.
Right.
It makes her so happy. But at the same time, she knows this isn't the best time for Killian Dane to continue this fight. You must stay back. I will hold you back, but I'm very excited at the potential for a lot of blood and guts and gore and violence. So I really enjoy it.
And I love Authors of Pain standing tall in this situation. I like this feud. This is the one time you'll hear me say something nice about Sanity, but I like where this feud is going with these two battling it out. You've got the absolutely crazy Sanity, and you've got the just absolute brutes and Authors of Pain, and they're on their path. So.
It's an interesting dynamic because they're two kind of heel teams. So what's your rooting interest in this?
Yeah, and does someone make the turn, some form of turn here?
Right. Because I think the kind of the smarky part of the crowd might kind of veer towards the Sanity side of things, just because Dane is fucking awesome. Alexander Wolf kind of is who he is. I already kind of like Nikki Cross.
I just said Nikki Cross got people's respect.
So, but an interesting matchup there. We got another video from the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins.
Yeah, they got a nice package.
Angelo Dawkins is no longer stirring the pot, I guess, doing that gimmick anymore. But I'm intrigued. I like where I feel like this is something that they're doing on their own. I don't feel like it's a gimmick that WWE put on them. I could be completely wrong, and it could just be more racist shit. I hope not.
Prime Time 2.0, baby.
I really hope not. But what do you guys think of where they're going with the Street Profits?
You heard me. It's Crime Time 2.0, man. I'm telling you, that's the path we're going down. If they can wrestle, maybe it survives, but it's still going to be racist as fuck.
They look fun. I mean, it looks more Uso-ish to me.
I suppose there's a bit of that, too. I don't know.
I'm not a racist.
Selena Vega, who is Andrade Cien Almas's mysterious acquaintance, warns No Way Jose that he lit a fire under Almas that you can't dance around. So what do you make of Selena Vega being involved with Andrade Almas, the new, I don't want to say valet. That's kind of an ugly term in 2017. But I like that it's like the fiery woman who he might have cheated on at some point, or he partied with her one time, but now she's trying to control Almas.
Yeah, right.
In
He
some
knocked
way.
her up. They have a kid together. She's back. She's pissed. She's like, "Oh, you don't know,"
No, I see it as this.
What? No, yes.
I see it as this.
Listen,
this
Cholo.
is the one woman that's been able to put him straight. At one point, she had him, and he escaped her. Kind of situation. I feel like she's the one woman that's controlled him and brought him away from the nightlife, has him focused and straight.
Right, he was the woman that he lost, and to say, he said, "Fuck that! I'm going to go to the clubs. I'm going to party." He had an "I don't give a fuck" attitude. Tranquilo. He would lose matches. Fuck it. I'm going to go to the club. Now this woman is back in his life, and now he's focused. If no way Jose's trying to fuck up his shit, now he's pissed. And fucking Vega, I love that story. I didn't even think of that.
I hope he fucking just comes up and starts tearing shit up, though. 'Cause I like the dude.
Yeah, me too.
Even the matches that he's had on NXT takeovers, when he's going to lose, he still puts on like one of the best matches of the night.
Velveteen Dream beat Cesar Bonani with a Death Valley driver and the Purple Rainmaker, which is a top rope elbow. I love that it's called the Purple Rainmaker. He refused to be interviewed after the match. He doesn't like the NXT universe. So that's kind of his gimmick. He doesn't like being interviewed because of whatever the situation is. If it's bad lighting outdoors in front of the NXT universe, he doesn't deserve it. And that's fine. It's a fun little mid-card thing for the Velveteen Dream, and a good way for the green guy to get something to do something. Had a good Drew.
He's purple though.
We had a good Drew McIntyre promo. Talks about how he used to be the chosen one and he was entitled back in the day, but he worked really hard, and everyone at NXT works really hard. And now Bobby Roode is the entitled one, and this is our NXT, and I'm going to beat Roode and take our NXT back. So passionate promo. And a little bit cheesy at times. I think you said that, Taco.
Yeah,
but
definitely makes me want to cheer for Roode in this situation.
See, I think I was the one that actually said the cheesy thing, but it was a little cheesy, but it felt good for Drew McIntyre. Again, he's never had any crowd behind him in WWE in the past, besides, a little bit with the 3-man band shit. But
but he hasn't.
I just think he's getting that connection he needs. I think a title win is going to put it over because it's going to be over the glorious one.
So that promo, that put you more on the Roode side, though, Taco, huh?
I've honestly never been big on the McIntyre thing. He's just he has something off about him. It's almost like the Cesaro thing. There's just something off.
Okay,
about,
interesting.
Think about them
right?
And being in like the main picture. There's a reason, like he even said, he thought he was entitled to everything, and no, there is a big following for the dude back in the day, but it's just, he was missing it, he couldn't get himself to the next level, and 3MB happened. Even fucking, let's, go back to when he was doing his TNA shit. We're dogging on the fucking dude, he's definitely stepped his game up big time, but, I don't want to take anything away from the dude. I'm excited. I was excited that he's in NXT. Actually, I want to see a second run to be successful. I want to see more out of this guy. But I don't know, like you said, that promo was kind of fucking cheesy, and it just made me want to root for the bad guy in that spot because it was just so like, oh, it's for you, it's us.
It was a little over the top, but
he's never really been a promo machine though.
That's true. He did a lot on the indie scene this time around. After he left WWE, but I'm kind of on McIntyre's side as far as I'm very excited to see the match, and I think it'll be good.
It'll be a good match for sure.
Next week we're going to get Raul Mendoza versus Johnny Gargano.
Raul Mendoza.
Raul says maybe it's not about Gargano's return, maybe it's about Mendoza. So
Raul.
Interesting, kind of an unknown name there, or not
Gargano?
not a popular name, but getting a little promo there, and just adding a little bit of intrigue to the return of Johnny Gargano. So finally in the main event, Hideo Itami took on Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno wins with a DQ after getting low-blowed by Hideo Itami. Hideo Itami
fucking Baron Corbin, man.
Attacks after the match, hits 2 go-to-sleeps, and then a big fireman's drop onto the stairs outside. So finally, after stretching this out for quite some time, Hideo Itami fully heel on Cassius Ohno.
I'm kind of uncomfortable watching Cassius Ohno wrestle. Like, I feel like I woke up like Big Cass's cousin, and he's just like stumbling out in his underwear and just quickly grabbed a shirt to go chase you. It's I don't like his gear, man.
I hear you with the gear.
It's so bad. It's Nia Jax bad.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't look good with his body type. I understand, but I really like
fat.
I like his in-ring work. I'm not.
No, he's a great work.
I'm not going to sit in this chair with my fat ass and call anybody fat. But Joe, you can do whatever you want. So, but
I'm less than him. That's what matters.
Like I said, you can do it. I got no right to call anybody fat.
See, that's not the direction I'm even going.
No, I know what you're saying too.
It just looks bad.
Kevin Owens
so
looks
bad,
great,
and for such the talent that he is, it doesn't stick out. I feel like it, like keeps him down a couple of notches. Like
I agree.
I don't see a professional, fighter or professional wrestler when I see him. And this is someone that is okay with John Cena wearing jorts or fucking Dean Ambrose wearing stretch fucking jeans.
Right. When we talk about Cassius Ohno, when we talk about Nia Jax, it's not about body shaming somebody or saying somebody's fat. I'm not even going there.
Nia Jax is fine. Fuck.
Exactly. She looks great. It's just the gear is awful. Same the fucking Cassius Ohno thing. Yeah, it doesn't do him any favors. But Samoa Joe, it looks fucking great. Kevin Owens looks fucking great. So there's ways to do it. I can't think of. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yes, you're right.
It's because he's fat.
Anyway, so we'll probably get a rematch between these two at TakeOver. I'm not mad at that.
It's gonna be fun.
I enjoy the back
cool.
and forth between these two.
And fucking Hideo needs someone. I'm glad that dude's on the fucking dark side.
And again, working with him is just both of these guys. One, Cassius is proving himself again in NXT, and Hideo's building himself back up.
Right on. Let's get into the Strong Honor version of the equation, talk some Ring of Honor, and we'll get into New Japan and the G1 Climax here. The subject. Shortly. Where did my Ring of Honor thing there? There it goes there. So this week was the very special edition of Women of Honor.
Yeah.
So all women's matches showcasing that side of the...
Yeah, way to watch, Joe.
Joe was like, whoa, because it's WOH.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Taka was like, woo.
God damn.
Went right over your head there. No, yeah. So I like that they incorporate the women. I have not checked out. They do like I think a weekly Women of Honor thing on YouTube. I don't know if it's a full show.
Personally, I like to see the ladies.
Every time I do see it, I'm thinking like, we need to see something more from these broads, and we're seeing them kind of all over. Like you.
The broads, huh?
Personally, I like to see the ladies. I'm sorry
As
about
I was
that.
saying, I would like to see more of these broads, and we see them all over the indie scene, and they're
Personally, I
fucking,
like to see the
they're
ladies.
tearing it up. And yeah, I lost it. I lost it.
Sumi Sakai versus Chris Wolf in the
She was
opening match.
badass, man.
Chris Wolf from Stardom. She is the high-speed champion. She wins the match with a bit of a sloppy leverage pin. But Sumi Sakai, she plays the antagonist in the match. And Joe Koff, the Ring of Honor COO or whatever, the head honcho for Ring of Honor.
Cool.
He says that soon the Women of Honor will be coming to pay-per-view. So I like the idea of incorporating the women into the regular show, into the pay-per-views, but they've taken a slow approach with it because I feel like they haven't really had the talent. It takes a long time to get good enough to kind of hang in that Ring of Honor style in front of that crowd, and they've taken I feel like a couple of years now and built up some talent. They've got some options now. They did have a match between Jenny Rose and Mandy Leone, who are products of the Ring of Honor dojo. And to me, this match was kind of an example of why maybe you don't have these women on TV every week. They were fine, they're improving, but they still Mandy, who's been at it for quite a while, both these two started training together. They both looked pretty green in the match.
It's been, 3-4 years, though?
Right, exactly. They're still new to the business. And the psychology of the match was a little bit off and weird. Like, they teased that there was supposed to be this, one of them was supposed to be a baby face, but then they come out and one of them was supposed to kind of be a heel or something.
Well, that's what it was hard because they kind of give you a quick, quick runaround story where it's just like, oh, this happened last week, and you're like, Oh, last time I saw Women of Honor was like last quarter. Like it was still snow on the ground.
I want to give them credit, and again, because they're new to the business or green. I don't want to harp on them too much here because they're basically developmental
put on
talent.
A good show.
But I want to give them credit for trying to kind of tell that story, but it was just awkward with the psychology of it once they got into the match itself. Then they get into kind of telling the story of what goes on towards the main event. WrestleMania weekend, Kelly Klein taps out to Deonna Purrazzo. The main event's a three-way between Klein, Purrazzo, and Karen Q. So WrestleMania weekend, Klein taps out to Deonna Purrazzo, but the ref was down, missed the tap out, so Klein pins Purrazzo with the Northern Lights suplex to remain undefeated. In Baltimore, Karen Q beats Klein via countout, ruining the undefeated streak, but this is because of the Purrazzo distraction. So that leads into the main event, Karen Q versus Deonna Purrazzo and Kelly Klein. It was a good match. Karen Q gets the win with a roll-up after Klein hits a series of knee strikes to the face.
Savage.
Q and Deonna double team on Klein. It was awkward psychology because Deonna and Q were kind of the baby faces, Klein being the heel. So when they double team on her, it's kind of backward psychology. But again, it's more of the Samoan Joes teaming up on the Brock Lesnar or the Clinton Dix.
Clinton Dix.
Teaming up on the Braun Strowman. That kind of dynamic. Klein is over as a hard-to-beat, badass, cocky heel. Purrazzo comes back with some good-looking offense. Purrazzo, you might be familiar with seeing her. She was at NXT. And I remember not being too high on her then, but I was really impressed by her offense on this week.
She seemed like she was determined, even in the few times. I think we saw her in Ring of Honor the same week that she was on NXT one week. So we got two matches out of her, and for two different companies. So you got to see two different complete sides of her because she got to let loose a little bit in the Ring of Honor ring.
I think she's fucking Skrull too.
Is that right?
The look on your face.
That is so profane, Dana.
Yeah,
I wasn't
fucking
rude.
news alert.
Yeah, do I hit that one?
Fucking Tacos TMZ over here, the fucking wrestling.
I think she's fucking Skrull, too.
Y'all want who's fucking banging each
I
other?
mean, good for her, I
Personally,
guess.
I like to see the ladies.
Just in case.
I'm sorry about that.
All right. They did a couple other angles on the show. Fucking Silas Young comes out with the Big City Bruiser. Of course, he's got the last real man has to come out on the women's show. He says Jay Lethal will never be back. So they're continuing the Jay Lethal being absent for 20, 30 some odd days from Ring of Honor TV.
36 days, Tommy.
Yes. Bully Ray says Jay Briscoe should be pissed off after 2 losses. They're going after the Bullet Club and Dalton Castle and the boys, and they're getting their titles back. So, again, it was after the loss where Jay Briscoe's freaking out again after another loss, throwing shit around, going crazy like Kevin Owens goes crazy on a referee, and Bully Ray just saying, yeah, you should be pissed off, use that as motivation, and we're going to get these fuckers. So good stuff. The Rebellion had to break up because of the match at Best in the World, but Shane Taylor on his own attacked Josh Woods and a newcomer, Mikey Webb. So Shane Taylor running roughshod. Look for stuff.
Wouldn't it be funny if they rebelled and got back together?
That would be so rebellious. We're going to get Kenny King versus Kushida in 2 weeks for the Ring of Honor TV title.
That's neat.
And next week, we are getting the big 2 out of 3 falls match for Cody Rhodes defending the Ring of Honor Championship against Christopher Daniels in the rematch. So, again, big one on TV next week. All right, let's talk the New Japan stuff, shall we?
Change the subject.
Do this. The New Japan stuff.
Never heard of it. Must be new.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Well, I used to watch old Japan wrestling, but now I'm into New Japan wrestling.
There's a ton to talk about here. The G1 Climax is ongoing. We've got to talk about the last week. We got to talk about the standings. The week coming up, like I said, next week is going to be a really interesting week. And going into the finals, I'm definitely going to be doing a Strong Honor special before the finals. So look out for that, whether it's on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast or a special Strong Honor edition. But this week, let's kind of go over all the matches, the results quickly, and talk about the bigger matches, the more important ones as we kind of go through here. But last Wednesday,
that's hard to weed through.
Going all the way back. Well, that's why I got notes on this stuff, so we can get it all in.
At least someone's a professional. Has good structure around here.
Tomohiro Ishii going all the way back to Wednesday. A block here. Ishii taking on Yoshihashi. Let me get my Japan sounds bites up here. And we got the A block. So Ishii versus Yoshihashi, both guys with one win going into it, 2 points for each guy. Ishii gets the win with the Brain Buster, a 2.5-star match. So anything below 3 stars, I would pretty much grade as a skippable match. And if you're really interested in a guy, you can check it out.
You can just ask for his number and
exactly. But Yoshihashi, not particularly this match, but he's definitely been growing on me, and I'll get into it more, especially the last couple of matches he has had. And I know a lot of other people have been higher on Yoshihashi, like the opening match, him and Nagata, he won where he beat Nagata the opening night.
I'd say pretty much any Nagata match is worth watching in this one.
I swear to God, he might be my MVP of the tournament.
He doesn't have a single win.
Nagata's match, no wins, all awesome matches. So we'll get into it as we go along. Ishii getting 2 wins over Yoshihashi. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bad Luck Fale. Both of these guys with 4 points, 2 wins each. Zack Sabre Jr. gets the win with a leverage pin out of nowhere. Fale's dominating the whole match, he's too powerful, too strong. Zack Sabre Jr. is going for his submissions, but Fale's just not having it. So Zack Sabre Jr. does kind of get the leverage pin out of nowhere for the win. Kota Ibushi versus Togi Makabe. Makabe gets the upset here. Makabe only with 1 win, Kota Ibushi with 2. So Makabe getting an upset with the King Kong knee drop.
Yes.
Again, probably a skippable match, 2 stars for that one. Yuji Nagata versus Tetsuya Naito. I gave this one 3.5. Definitely worth a watch. All the Nagata matches, really good. Naito fucking taunts Nagata with slaps, spitting in the face. Nagata comes back with slaps and kicks and forearms.
Old-fashioned slap right to the face.
Man, old-fashioned, my favorite.
An insane slap battle bloodies Naito's mouth. He goes for Destino, gets countered into the arm lock where he rolls his eyes into the back of his head, but it was Naito getting the win with Destino after a sloppy Destino for a near fall. I've noticed he's using a lot of different variations of the Destino. The full Destino, in my opinion, is the arm twist with the flip into the reverse DDT. Now, he'll often mix in a reverse DDT before the Destino, but in my opinion, the full Destino with the full effect includes the arm twist and the back flip over into the full move. So that's an interesting, notable thing.
Sounds like a good structure.
But very good structure. After the match, Naito spits at Hanma, who's doing commentary at ringside. Hanma at one point, and I didn't see this, but I saw news about it online. He went in the ring, cut a promo saying that he's doing much better and that he's planning to return to wrestling at some point. So good news from
and he
Hanma.
has a dope-ass shirt, too.
Yes, the yellow Hanmania shirt. Check that one out at your Pro Wrestling Tees there.
Dude's got bills to pay. Buy one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, since you mentioned them, I do want to give them a good shout-out. They have amazing customer service.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
ProWrestlingTees.com. I bought some of their 20% off super sale. Got some New Japan merch. I support the good cause. And, they kind of had a misprint on one of my Bullet Club shirt. And, they're good customer service. So I just want to give them a good shout-out.
Yeah, they took care of you.
In case because I was kind of wonky in ordering from them because they are a little bit, steeper in price a little bit.
Sure.
But they definitely took care of me, and fucking shirt's fucking soft, man.
Yeah, nice, awesome. All right, well, main event from last Wednesday, Hiroshi Tanahashi with 2 wins taking on Hirooki Goto. Of course, Tanahashi, the current IWGP Intercontinental title holder, and Goto, the former never openweight title holder. This one 3 3/4, just under 4 stars. A very good match. Goto has never defeated Tanahashi in the G1 Climax, so that's notable. He comes out and is very aggressive. Tanahashi definitely acting like a subtle heel in the match. That's kind of a theme throughout the tournament in places.
Getting quite a bit of booze, I've noticed.
Yeah. Goto takes the fight outside and works the arm in the railing, and I'm like, who is the babyface here? Goto's getting dirty now. He works the arm, does some holds similar to Zack Sabre Jr. that made Tanahashi tap out. Kind of put the sympathy back on Tanahashi here. Tanahashi gets fired up and uses the injured arm for forearm shots, misses a high fly flow. Goto does the Shibata tribute, hits a sleeper and then a penalty kick, then hits his big Ushi-Goroshi for a near fall.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, but then it was Tanahashi getting the win with 2 high fly flows after several dragon screw and neck breakers. So yeah, a very intense finish. And like I said, just under 4 stars for me. I could see people arguing 4 and up on the match, but again, very, very good there. Going back to the B block now. B block.
I want to say something while it's on my mind.
Yes, please.
If you do plan on subscribing to New Japan World or NJPWWorld.com, do it now. Do it at the beginning of the month because they charge you at the beginning of the month, not when you subscribe. I've just been noticing online that's been kind of a common theme of, people actually did subscribe at the last week of July, and it's like, you dicked up, man. And, it's you're not going to get no refund or nothing like that, but right now, if you're going to subscribe, do it now.
Because they won't charge you until next month or whatever, right?
You'll be charged for the month, but you'll get the whole month of August, as opposed to if you do it in the middle of August, you're getting charged for the whole or the rest of the month of August. Oh, you get charged
for half the month,
but
and
it's still the same price regardless. So
right, that's a good point.
So beginning of the month is the best time to do it.
Okay, back to the B block now.
Fucking Mr. PSA over
here. This is back to Thursday last week. Kazuchika Okada with 3 wins and 6 points takes on Satoshi Kojima. Kojima, another guy with no wins. But this again, the story between Kojima and Nagata, with this being Nagata's final G1, it's not that they're losers and that they suck. It's that they're on the downside of their career, but they're really bringing the fight in these matches, and they're having. It's not a night off facing these old guys.
And it's those fucking guys that no wins are always doing the fucking upsets.
Talk about this match. I'm going to go through the match first, but then I want you to talk about what Okada said about Kojima after this match. The crowd boos Okada after a quick start. They throws Kojima into the railing outside. Fucking Tenzan gets throws in. That's Kojima's tag team partner. He almost ends up fighting with Okada. Then the crowd gets behind the former champ Kojima. Yes, he was a former IWGP champ at one point. He busts out his partner's Mongolian chops, hits his shotgun chops in the corner, but couldn't complete the spot until later in the match. That's where he hits the shotgun chops, throws him across the ring, hits the forearm, and the crowd chants along with whatever he says there. Hits a second rope Koji cutter and a brainbuster for a near fall, but it was Okada keeping the undefeated streak alive with the tombstone and the Rainmaker, and he had some shit to talk about Kojima after the match. Or was it up to the match?
It was after. I'm going to give credit to Jude Kilgore on Twitter. He said, "I've never been prouder or more furious with someone like this before." And Okada said, "Kojima, I've got to admit it, you were tough, is what I bet you wanted me to say, you son of a bitch."
Wow.
It was a cakewalk. I'm not like you, dogging it for 3 seasons, only trying hard each summer. I'm the champion. I have to work hard 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There's no way I'm losing, but hey, thanks for trying.
Drop that bomb.
But it was
awesome. I'm kind of glad to see that side of it a little bit because since Wrestle Kingdom, he's kind of been, just kind of poster boyish almost, not really, saying stuff or doing stuff like that.
He'll talk some shit, though.
But it was good to see a big bomb like that, I guess.
Then we had from Thursday again back to the 27th of last week. Another, we're going through the B block here. And I'm talking about the main events here first because remember I was talking last week how I would watch these shows after work, and I've been working so long lately. I decided to start watching the main events first so that I wasn't falling asleep at the end of them. So I'm kind of going backwards talking this show. So the main event from this one was Michael Elgin versus Kenny Omega. I'm gonna bring back an old sound bite here because this is definitely one of these.
Whoa.
4.5 stars, this one here. Elgin with only 1 win. Omega undefeated with 6 points at this point, 3 wins. Good back and forth, a battle for momentum early in the match. Elgin takes over after a power slam. Kenny comes back with a Rana and does the big Terminator dive. The whole Terminator dive was an amazing sequence. So Elgin gets out of the ring. He goes for the Terminator dive, but Elgin jumps in. They do this crazy back and forth spot. Then Elgin ends up outside the ring again. Then he finally hits the Terminator dive. Crazy sequence. Elgin hits a buckle bomb, goes for a power bomb. Omega counters and attempts the one-winged angel. Elgin hits the last ride sit-out power bomb for a near fall. Then Omega starts going crazy with the V-triggers. It's a V-trigger on the apron, pulls back the floor mats. Then Elgin power bombs him on the apron. Fucking Omega counters a razor's edge off the top rope into a fucking Rana. Double underhook pile driver for a near fall. Wow, the fucking V-triggers, the power bombs, the near falls. I thought this was a perfect finish. Elgin needed one more fucking move to just get a win. He fucking hit the burning hammer, got the win, spoiled the undefeated streak of Omega in the tournament, and got a second win. Like I said, 4.5 stars, very good match, told a great story, and now Kenny Omega has like 2 singles losses all year. One to Ishii, which he avenged in the U.S. tournament finals or whatever, and now Elgin should get a shot.
Didn't him and Ishii rematch earlier in the year?
Well, he lost to Ishii in the opening round of the New Japan Cup. Then they had a rematch.
I thought he won that one.
He did win that one, and then he defeated Ishii in the finals for the U.S. title. So at some point, Omega will want to avenge this loss and possibly have to defend the IWGP U.S. title here.
That was kind of actually I did have Elgin. God damn it, Elgin winning this one on my bracket because with all the fucking championships on the bracket, that's kind of how I was trying to look at it. Like, who'd be a good feud to benefit for this title right now?
I think on mine, I had. I actually picked Omega or Elgin to get the win in Omega in this one.
Fuck both of you.
Again,
fuck you, Joe. Old fashioned to the face.
If you're following along at home,
slap right to the face.
If you're following along at home, we are competing in this one too.
Oh, we're competing hard.
So again,
blood's on the line.
So regular
not beer.
So the way the points go, if you predict a match correctly in regular A or B block play, you get 1 point. If your score at the end of the tournament, if you match the final score of a particular wrestler, you get 3 points for that. So in other words, like I have in my prediction, I have Tanahashi in the A block with 12 points. So if that matches up correctly, I'll get 3 points for that. If you match the block winners, you get 5 points for each block winner. So in my prediction, I have Omega and Kota Ibushi. So if those two win their blocks, it'll be 5 points each for them. I have Kenny Omega winning the whole thing. If that happens, if that comes to fruition, that'll be 10 points for me. So that's the competition we have going on. Since we're talking the predictions, who do you guys have going all the way in the A and B block and taking the tournament?
I got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenny Omega with Zack Sabre Jr. taking it.
Interesting. Very interesting. And Taco, I actually think you're probably going to win with your prediction, but go ahead.
I don't know, man. Fucking Elgin's fucking struggling. I had Naito and Elgin going at it.
Well, I think if you have Naito to win the whole thing,
I do.
I think that might be a
good prediction right now.
Just the fucking guy's story over the last couple of years. It's just it's set up to me for that, and
definitely
to me Elgin kind of needs to stick out a little bit more right now. He had that time off, and I thought just I think just putting him in the finals of the G1 would stick out more.
That'd be a good
Omega
story.
doesn't need it. Okada doesn't need it.
Ibushi.
There's already got so many stories.
You could make an
they can
argument
tell.
for Ibushi kind of needing it, but
Ibushi would be great, but you got that story with Kenny Omega you can tell right now, too, outside of the G1. You don't need the G1 for that story.
for sure. Other matches from Thursday, Tama Tonga beat Juice Robinson. Both guys had one win there. Sonata beat Toru Yano. This was an interesting one. This was the third count-out victory that somebody has had. So rare to see count-outs. We've had 3 of them here in the tournament. He ties him up.
2 of them are his.
ties him up in the Paradise Lock and outside of the ring on the ramp, then tapes him up and gets the count-out win, Sonata does, and then just walks by him when he leaves him on the ramp there. And then it was Evil defeating Minoru Suzuki with a bit of an upset there. Both of those guys had 2 wins. So it's interesting here who's getting these even matchup, even amount of wins, getting the momentum going forward. Evil getting the upset there over Suzuki with the STO, otherwise known as the Everything.
I actually enjoyed this match
Evil.
a lot, man. I thought it was fun.
I thought it was fine. A lot of the brawling in the crowd, Bushi and El Desperado out there after the ref bump stuff. So Tai Chi coming out there, Los Ingobernables and Evil come across as baby faces in the match. So I understand why you would kind of
It was just
like that.
a good brawl.
Yeah.
it was a good surprise too. I thought the better guy won out of it too because I was like, holy fuck when he did it, and god damn, this tournament makes you say that a lot.
Yes, definitely. And I'll get into this with that. I mean, obviously that happened in that Kenny Omega Michael Elgin match, but this Nagata match I want to talk about here shortly in a little bit here from the first was amazing. So I'll get into that. But back to the A block. This is from Saturday the 29th, and the Yuji Nagata, no wins again, taking on Togi Makabe with 2 wins, so 4 points. Makabe gets the win here. A 3-star match, worth a watch. Makabe gets the win with 2 King Kong knee drops with a lariat in between. This match, I noticed Nagata got the hot stone treatment on his back. He had all those dots and whatnot on his back from getting. They do this hot stone treatment that leaves the marks on your back. So, and it was cool because he worked that into the psychology of the match. He's selling his back, selling tournament fatigue, but he fights hard, good near falls, and I like Nagata hitting the ground and pound, putting that into his offense. Does that in other matches as well. But Makabe gets the win. Bad Luck Fale beat Kota Ibushi with the grenade and the Bad Luck Fall. So maybe an upset there. I could see some people thinking Ibushi might get the win there. But again, both of those guys had 2 wins going into the match. Then a bit of a comeuppance here. Hirooki Goto defeating Zack Sabre Jr. Goto having 2 wins, Zack Sabre with 3. So Goto kind of killing some momentum for Zack Sabre.
I feel like that was more of an upset there.
Yeah, definitely. This was a rematch. Remember, earlier in the year, Zack Sabre Jr. challenged Goto for the Never Openweight title. So Goto getting 2 wins over Zack Sabre in 1 year. Zack Sabre did dominate the match, worked on the arm submissions. Goto comes back late with strikes and power and gets the win with the GTR. Tanahashi, and honestly, I only rated that like 1.5 stars just because it was Zack Sabre doing his thing. Goto didn't really impress me, so I just didn't think it was really worth a watch. Same thing with Hiroshi Tanahashi and Yoshihashi. Tanahashi had 3 wins with 6 points. Yoshihashi only had the 1 win. Totally expected Tanahashi to win. That's what happened. This is what I was talking about earlier, though. Again, this is a skippable match, but Yoshihashi looked more aggressive in the match. Tanahashi's working the leg. Hashi escapes a cloverleaf, and we get some new offense for Yoshihashi. He hits a shoulder buster and a double knees for a near fall in the match. So I like him incorporating some new things, getting away from that draping the guy over the top rope, hitting the drop kick thing. I'm not a fan of that move. He's hitting that blockbuster a little bit more. He still does like that headhunter clothesline where he swings his arm way up in the air, which it's okay. But I like him doing the blockbuster and incorporating some new offense here. Ishii versus Tetsuya Naito. The internet really blew up about this one too. Another big match here.
Match of the week.
I gave this one 4 stars. You could argue more, you could argue less. Naito taunts and dominates early in the match. He works the neck and the spine. Naito is spitting in the face. Ishii just fucking runs wild after that. But Naito, he does Naito dominates. Naito was just over big with the crowd here. Ishii's bleeding from the mouth. Naito's playing a classic heel. He works a head scissors as a submission on the mat. I thought that was a nice, unique spot there. Ishii comes back and hits headbutts and forearms in the corner. He won't fucking stop nailing him. Naito focuses on the neck and the spine again. Slaps and headbutts late. Ishii hits a powerbomb for a near fall. Ishii kicks out of a modified Destino, then no-sells a Destino. That fucking popped me.
Popped right the fuck up.
He hits a full Destino with the arm twist and everything like I was talking about. Ishii's like, fuck that. Hits a basement lariat for a near fall. Then hits a big-ass lariat for a near fall. And then finally hits the brain buster. Ishii gets the win there. Ishii only had 2 wins going into that with 4 points. So that brings him up to Naito's 6 points in that match. So playing spoiler for Naito and gaining some momentum for Ishii. Now, wait a minute. Did I hang on here?
Hold on.
Hang on. I almost skipped a show there. The Sunday show from the B Block, actually, is actually kind of mostly skippable. There is a really good Kojima and Omega match on there, and actually the Juice Okada match is really good too. But all of these outcomes are pretty predictable. Evil beat Toru Yano, pretty predictable there. Minoru Suzuki beat Tama Tonga, so Suzuki up to 6 points there. Evil had 6 points into the win with Toru Yano, so that puts him up to 8 points. Michael Elgin beat Sonata beat Elgin, actually. Both of those guys had 4 points there. So Sonata with the skull end and the top rope moonsault out of nowhere, basically. They avoid each other's dives early in the match, and they take turns inviting each other in. And Sonata was very reluctant to trust Elgin, but eventually does.
I actually missed a good chunk of this show, as I was telling you earlier. And this is actually a match I want to go back and check out.
Yeah, this one is worth it. Sonata goes and goes for the Paradise Lock on the bottom rope. The referee isn't breaking up, which is kind of weird there. Elgin counters the double leapfrog into the sit-out powerbomb. So, you know what I'm saying? Sonata does the 2 leapfrogs in a row. He catches him on the second one and hits a fucking sit-out powerbomb. Elgin hits a second rope Falcon Arrow from the apron for the near fall, but then Sonata gets the win kind of out of nowhere, like I said, with the skull end and the top rope moonsault. Interesting there. Then Kojima versus Omega, 3 3/4. Again, just under 4 stars for me. Omega gets the win here, predictably, with the one-winged angel. This was the final match for Kenny Omega's house show tights because the ass ripped straight out of them. A good story here. Kojima just couldn't build momentum in the match. Omega... he shoves a Tenzan at ringside and steps away from Kojima, who goes for a very rare Kojima dive. And Omega's like, really? You're going to try a dive?
Nope.
Kind of talks shit about exactly. So Omega talking shit about Kojima too, just like Okada was talking some shit about Kojima. Kojima does the shotgun chop spot. Omega hits a second rope leg hook suplex, then the leg hook Falcon Arrow for a near fall. Kojima counters the V-trigger with a big lariat, but he can't make the cover, just can't build momentum, and it's Kenny Omega getting the win with the one-winged angel, getting him up to big 8 points right now. Then Juice Robinson takes on Kazuchika Okada in the main event. Who'd have thought? Fucking Juice Robinson coming out of NXT, CJ Parker, couple years later, main eventing a G1 Climax show. Yeah, it's a Sunday house show style thing, but still, having a 4-star match with the IWGP champion. Really great stuff. Okada does get the win, of course, but very good, awesome match.
It's funny you say that just because, if you can see it, I had chosen Juice in my initial predictions, but I crossed it out because I'm just like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that was one of those matches that I was kind of going back and forth with, because just like, I don't know, it just feels like any time now Okada's going to just have a sudden like loss and it's be like jaw dropping, like, but It's not gonna.
I know. We'll go through the upcoming matches here in a bit. I want to get through. We got one more night to get through here. This is from the first. This is from Tuesday. Back to the A block. Bad Luck Fale with 6 points facing Yoshihashi, who still only has that one win from night one of the tournament. Yoshihashi finally gets another win with the inside cradle after a sleeper and a guillotine choke. This was the standout Yoshihashi match for me. It's starting to turn things around for Yoshihashi. I'm not saying the guy's going to main event tomorrow. I'm just saying I was really down on Yoshihashi, and he's really showed.
Yeah, you were hating on him last week.
He's shown some improvements over the last week or so. I'm really and contrast it with like a guy like Sonata, who I was really looking forward to shining in the tournament. To me, Sonata has kind of dropped off a little bit on me. I'm really interested to see how he does this next week. But Yoshihashi has really stepped up his game for me. Gets the win here with Bad Luck Fale, bringing him up to 4 points. Zack Sabre Jr. took on Togi Makabe. Zack Sabre got the predictable win, in my opinion, but both guys had 6 points going into the match. So kind of a momentum builder for Zack Sabre. Gets the win with the knee bar submission. Makabe thwarts the El Desperado attempt outside to interfere. Zack Sabre Jr. cuts off and goes after the leg. Makabe comes back with strikes and a big lariat, but misses the King Kong knee drop. Sabre gets the win. Then a big 4-star match. This is the one that I'm very excited to talk about. It's only the third match of the tournament matches on the show. This should have been the main event. I'm talking about Tomohiro Ishii versus Yuji Nagata. Yes, again, Nagata, 0 points. Ishii looking for momentum.
Again, Nagata.
Ishii looking to build fucking momentum here, trying to get to 8 points. 4-star match. A very nice opening exchange. The ultimate strike battle breaks out. Nagata powders. Ishii dominates. Nagata comes back with kicks to the front and then the back. Just fucking, he kicks him down, sits him back up, kicks him in the back. He lays down again, he sits him back up, fucking kicks him down again. Just back and forth to the back and the front. Hits a big exploder for a near fall. Then immediately Ishii jumps up, hits a brainbuster. Then he hits his own kicks to the front and the back of Nagata. Just fucking ultimate just revenge back and forth in this match. Hits a big second rope superplex for a near fall. I fucking love Ishii's second rope superplexes.
Oh, yeah.
They look so cool and so devastating every time. I don't know what it is about them.
It just takes that extra second he takes to hold him in the air.
That extra hesitation.
Boom.
Ishii escapes the
comic books,
the high roll arm lock, and hits a bunch of forearms. Nagata knocks Ishii down with Nagata knocks Ishii down with just one after Ishii hits a shit ton of forearms, so he just fucking knocks him out. Then hits those ground and pound forearms that I was talking about. Nagata hits the second rope exploder into an insane fighting spirit sequence that I can't even describe. Ishii hits a power bomb and a big lariat. I'm thinking it's over. This is it. The match has to be over. No, he fucking kicks out. Then Nagata hits a brainbuster for a near fall. I'm thinking this has got to be it. Nagata's got his first fucking win. He just hit Ishii with his own fucking finisher. No, it's a near fall. 2 count. Ishii finally gets the win with the brainbuster, getting him to 8 points. I said my side comment was just, wow, the near falls. That's what I put on Twitter in this match. I fucking loved this match. I put 4. I could go 4.5. I really enjoyed it. Naito versus Hirooki Goto. Again, these two both have 6 points, 3 wins. Naito gets the win here with Destino. This was kind of your classic Naito match, and both these guys 2 former champions. So this is a big match. But it was Naito. He tries to catch Goto off guard in the match and attacks him right away. He spits in the face. He keeps antagonizing him. This is the story of Naito of the tournament, just fucking pissing people off. Goto comes back with strikes and a lariat, but Naito counters the GTR with a DDT. Goto counters a Destino into an Ushigoroshi. Then hits the modified Destino for a near fall, but then it was hitting another Destino, getting Naito the win. Then the main event from Tuesday was Kota Ibushi versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi with 8 points going into this match. Was he undefeated going into this one? No, he had the other loss to Zack Sabre from early in the tournament. But him with 8 points going in is really a big score. And Kota Ibushi really needing some momentum here with only 2 wins and 4 points. Gave this match 3.25 stars. The psychology in this match was really on point. The crowd was split, didn't know who to cheer for. But then Tanahashi doesn't break clean. Then immediately the crowd is like behind Ibushi. Tanahashi's working the leg. He gets dirty using the ropes in the corner. So just fucking Tanahashi going back to being the heel, fucking getting the crowd behind Ibushi. Just so awesome. Ibushi comes back with a drop kick and hits the golden triangle moonsault. But one thing that kind of bothered me about this match is Tanahashi's really working over the knee and the leg early in the match, and when he makes his comebacks, Kota Ibushi just completely forgets about selling the knee. So that kind of brought the quality of this match down for me. I thought it would have been a little bit better had Kota Ibushi really sold the idea that his knee might have been injured. Ibushi counters a low drop kick with a double stomp. So in other words, because he was working the knee, Tanahashi goes for that low drop kick to the leg, but he jumps up in the air and hits a double stomp. Hits a backflip kick to Tanahashi, who's sitting on the top rope. Then he does the lawn dart thing into the opposite corner with Tanahashi, throws him just into the corner like a fucking dart. Then Tanahashi hits the high fly flow with like a high cross, then goes for the second, which is usually his finisher. Kota Ibushi gets the knees up. Ibushi hits the last ride power bomb, and it's the nearest near fall I've ever fucking seen. I swear to God it was a 3 count. The crowd gasped. Then fucking Kota Ibushi says, okay, grabs his arms, hits a knee to the face, and that was finally the finish with the knee to the face after that last ride power bomb and the nearest near fall ever. So immediately going to the finish. Kota Ibushi getting the win, getting to 6 points, and stalling Tanahashi at 8. So let's talk the standings, upcoming matches, what's going on potentially. So in the A block, out in front, we got 3 guys with 8 points. Tanahashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, interesting because Zack Sabre Jr. has the tiebreaker over Tanahashi here. Same thing for Tomohiro Ishii. He still has to face Tanahashi yet, but Zack Sabre also has to face Ishii. So we got some interesting matchups at the 8 points there. So guys with 6 points just coming up from behind. We got Makabe, Goto with 6, Bad Luck Fale with 6. Naito only has 6, but Naito still has to face Tanahashi, still has to face Hirooki Goto, still has to face Zack Sabre. So some interesting matchups there for Naito. And also with 6 points, Kota Ibushi. And Kota Ibushi still got to face Nagata. Holy shit, that's going to be good. Kota Ibushi still got to face Yoshihashi. That's got some potential there with Yoshihashi making some stink here. And got a match with Hirooki Goto coming up yet too for Kota Ibushi. So, of course, Nagata with 0 points. He's out of it. Fucking Yoshihashi, only 2 wins. He's out of it, probably 2. So there you go. So in the B block now, you got Kazuchika Okada out in front, 10 points, doesn't have a loss. So he's got some opponents. It's interesting here because by the time you hear this, there'll probably be another A block show to watch, which means it'll be more interesting points wise. But at this point, the B block has had one more show than the A block. So Okada out in front with 10 points, undefeated, but he still has the match with Omega, still has a match with Suzuki, and you got Evil and Tama Tonga in there too. I don't see Evil or Tama Tonga getting a victory over Okada, but hey, it's the G1. You never fucking know.
I like the story that's being told with Tama Tonga coming up to Okada right now too, though. Maybe I'll beat him. Maybe I'll be the boss kind of, attitude.
Yeah, with the dissension going on in the Bullet Club between Omega and Cody, and the thing between the match with Tama Tonga. Although they did play nice and make up after the Tama Tonga Omega match. But okay, so Okada out in front with 10 points. Two guys with 8. Of course, Omega with the 1 loss to Michael Elgin. And then Evil's sneaking up there with 8 points with just the 1 loss to Sonata. So
everything that I thought Elgin would be doing, Evil's doing.
Well, Elgin's having a rough tournament. Only two wins, 4 points. Lost to Tama Tonga in that early match. Lost to Sonata, but he's still got to face Juice, Suzuki, Yano. Yano could play spoiler there, boy. He's still got to face Evil, so he could kind of spoil Evil's big point lead there too.
Well, that's kind of how I have Okada and Omega taking each other out, and Elgin surpassing over that, and with a win over Omega, and goes to a tie. So
Omega has to still, like I said, Okada. Sonata is a potential upset for Okada, but I would really like. And then he already beat Suzuki. You got Juice has got to face Omega. That should be really good. And I'm really I'm actually looking forward to the match with Omega and Sonata, because I guess Omega's been kind of talking some shit about Sonata here too. And in a shoot interview before the tournament where he wasn't kayfabing it, he talked about how he was looking for Sonata to really break out of his shell in the tournament.
Oh.
So I'm looking forward to see what those two put together in their match wise. So of course Kojima with no points. Suzuki is sitting there with 6 points, but he's got some interesting matchups. Of course, the Elgin match, he's still got to face Okada, still got to face Yano and Kojima. So Suzuki still has some potential to get into it, but Okada undefeated, and the potential. Really, it's got to be either Omega or Suzuki, I think, are probably the only victories there. And with Omega or Okada already beating Suzuki earlier in the year, I think it comes down to Omega, but I could really see those guys doing another fucking draw. Because, they did 40 minutes at the Tokyo Dome. They did an hour draw at Dominion. So that really...
It would just... I don't know, to see the third match kind of wrap up in the G1, it's like it'd be cool, but... I just want them one-on-one, 60 minutes again.
Yeah.
Just fucking do some work, and let's end it now.
So, yeah, a lot of stories to tell here. So, quickly, let's kind of go over, what nights some of these highlight matches are coming up. So, by the time you hear this, Wednesday, you'll be able to see Juice Robinson versus Sonata. Omega versus Evil is Wednesday. Elgin versus Yano is Wednesday.
It'll be Thursday next week.
What's that?
Is there Thursday next week?
I'm a week ahead. I'm sorry. That was the finals. Let me see here. No, that's right. That's August 2nd. That's Wednesday this week.
Oh yeah, there's nothing going on that day. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, Thursday we got a night off this week. So Wednesday.
I was saying next week.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's nothing the day before that, so...
Yeah. Then Friday this week, we got Nagata versus Kota Ibushi. Oh, fuck, that's going to be good. Tetsuya Naito versus Zack Sabre should be really good. Saturday, we got Juice Robinson versus Kenny Omega, and Michael Elgin versus Suzuki is also on Saturdays. Okada versus Evil on Saturday is a potential. It should be a good match. Sunday, Nagata versus Zack Sabre. I'm just so excited for all these fucking Nagata matches. Woo! Tanahashi versus Ishii on Sunday.
Nice.
Then Tuesday, Okada versus Suzuki. And then also Tuesday, that Omega Sonata match.
Yeah.
So those are some ones to look forward. So the final 2 nights are Friday and Saturday in 2 weeks, and then the finals are next Sunday. So they have a couple of nights off on Wednesday and Thursday next week. So, but that with next week's crazy podcast schedule, hopefully we will be able to record one on Thursday and do a preview for those final nights. Hopefully we can all get together, but if not, I will definitely be recording something on Thursday. If I got to stay up all night, I'll do it. Speaking of being up all night, we have gone almost 2 hours on this show. This is probably our longest show ever. I apologize if you like short shows. There was not there. I'm sorry. It's just
It's
at least split up for you.
So much to talk about.
So
much.
That's the story there. Hold on. We can't do 2 hours. We can't do Strong Honor
no.
without doing the Kojima tweet, for Christ's sake.
Whoa.
You're pulling the gun, man. That's the terrible structure of the podcast.
All right, before we get to the Kojima tweet, Taco, you have breaking news on Bailey. That since we...
Quite a bit of news.
If we're going to do a 2-hour podcast, if we get breaking news at the end of it, we're going to get to it. Sounds like Bailey is going to need shoulder surgery.
Well, according to WWE.com, Bailey suffered an injury to her right shoulder. It was diagnosed inconclusive due to the amount of swelling involved. Bailey has been told to rest the soldier. Fucking, we've been podcasting a long time.
Shoulder.
Until next week. Until they can reevaluate.
That's tough. That's all right. Well,
That sucks.
good luck to Bailey. So, all right, before we get out of here, let's talk to Kojima on Twitter.
Now it's time for the Satoshi Kojima Tweet of the Week.
Follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat. Hello, I am in the hotel now. I made breakfast a while ago. I ate a lot of meat, fish, and vegetables. Of course, I ate bread. So that is finally going to do it for this week on the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Still magic put me on the spot like that.
/ Strong Honor. You can follow the show at BPW Podcast on Twitter. Follow me at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Go to bestprowrestlingpodcast.com for all your back episodes and links to Strong Honor, etc., etc. Taco, where can people find you?
You can follow me on the Twitter, Snapchat at HGREV Taco.
And you can follow me on Twitter at JoeBPWP. That's at Joe Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, and thank you for listening to the entire longest podcast ever. Bye.
Peace.
That is so profane, Dana, and rude.
I'm not like most men. Are there too many wrestling podcasts? No.
Go into the phone. Get back up here, you. I'm editing this. You don't have to fill this silence.
But I'm like the best beatboxer in the world.
Says you.
Said nobody.
With confidence.